engineering also we got, in science we got like engineering, medical, BSc, IT, which is the statistics and physics or IT, or BCA or MCA for example. So these are the various areas that we see within the science faculty. There could be more than that also, which we'll see further. And within engineering, because our primary focus is engineering for this particular session, within that we have a diploma and degree. So I'll give a little bit of idea what is diploma and what is degree in case if you do not know. Diploma is generally are doing it after 10th standard, and there are various colleges in Bombay as well as in Maharashtra across India in various branches of engineering. So we'll speak about the branches also. And typically the course of typically the course of engineering is about, diploma is about 3 to 4 years depending on the college, and degree is after 12th, and again the course of the engineering is for degree is 4 years. And in case of if you do not opt for the engineering, you can also do specifically in IT called what we call as the Masters in Computer Application after BCA. So again, let me just go through some of this presentation, then we can have the Q&A session. I think તમને બધાને કોઈ chit આપવામાં આવી છે. So if you have any questions, please write down on the chit and you can pass the chit to us. Yeah, thanks.
Sorry for distribution. Even the commerce, science and art students can go for BCA and MCA. Even the commerce, science and art students can go for BCA and MCA.
Yeah, so thank you so much for that. Yeah.
This scenario is changing very fast. Today, some years back, it was that after 10th you can go for diploma, then you can go for degree after 12th only. Composite programs are coming. Already there's a composite program of BTech and MBA together under NMIMS University. So it's not that one has to go after 12th or diploma. And again, another composite programs are coming where diploma and degree can be together exactly after 10th. So this, that ladder pattern is good. I do agree, but it's like things are moving laterally today.
Sure. Okay. Thank you so much. One of the reason also, હજી એક point મને અહીંયા highlight કરવું હતું કે some of the people, એટલે અહીંયા ઘણા બધાને હજી ખબર નથી કે મને શું કરવાનું આગળ, કોમર્સમાં જવાનું કે આર્ટ્સમાં જવાનું કે IB કરવાનું કે for example કે engineering કરવાનું કે medical. So one of the areas that you may want to think, can I delay my decision? Is it possible? Instead of making the decision today, now, can I delay my decision? So that is one of the things which this is my thinking personally, but you can correct me here, that if I go with the science to start with, if I am not sure what I want to do, whether I want to become a CA or whether I want to become an engineer or whether I want to become a doctor, and if you think that you are possibly good in commerce and you want to go for commerce, then nothing, there is no doubt about it. But if you are not sure, then one of the benefits that science category would give you, that you can always switch from science to commerce or from science to something else. So if you want to delay your decision by 2 years, and if you think that I'm still not ready, that could be another way of looking at it. But I'm not just telling you, in the sense I'm not forcing you, but this is another way of looking at it. Yeah? So that's something I would like to share here. Hi, Vimal. Okay, so some of the branches, what are the various engineering faculties that we have within engineering, which is like the various things which we see is the computer science, computer engineering, electronics engineering, civil engineering, production engineering, and telecom engineering, and so on and so forth. There are various of those. So I will go through some of those and quickly, and then we can have the additional discussion also on that. So I think the very first, Disha, I think she mentioned about biotech engineering. She wants to do biotech engineering. So there's definitely a growing industry, and it is kind of a link between the medical and engineering. The idea here is conducting research, diagnosis, and the treatment of the disease and illness. So આપણને લાગે કે તો medical છે, but yes, it is, there is a link between the medical and engineering in the biotech and biomedical engineering. Primarily into the clinical engineering, tissues, genetic engineering, that is what she is interested in about, for example. And typically, who are the typical recruiters? So I just try to take it further one more step, that what will be the potential going forward. So these are the typical companies who would be recruiting such kind of a people within India and outside India also there will be many more. So that is one area. The second is chemical engineering. આપણા લક્ષ જૈન જે chemical engineer છે, definitely he can tell more about us. Then it's more about the chemical reactions, the plants and the performance of the chemical engineering, chemical reactions, and primarily into the chemical industry, petrochemical industry and manufacturing plants and so on. So that's another area. If you are really interested in physics and chemistry, then you can possibly pursue here about the chemical engineering. And typical, again, the recruiters would be like all the oil and gas companies, for example, the refineries, L&T of the world, that could be your potential recruiters or the companies that you may work with, for example. So that is something which I would like to share. Civil engineering, of course, we have Mr. Vinod, who is actually the civil engineer, so he can probably give more details. It's primarily about the planning, designing, and executing structural work. So whatever the infrastructure development that we see, whether it's an urban infrastructure development or even a society infrastructure development or any other infrastructure development, that's where the civil engineering comes into the picture. So that is something to look into as well. IT and computer science engineering, which is another, which is there for almost 10 to 15 to 20 years now, and primarily focusing into the computers. And majority of things, whether it's in the media or computers, is now coming into the computer. Within that, there are two different engineering. One is the IT engineering, second is the computer science engineering. And the primary difference between the two is that in computer science engineering, you are dealing with the design and the development of the software and the hardware, which is primarily what we call as the systems programming. And in IT, when you are dealing directly with the applications programming, which is the front-end application that you see. So, a simple example, તમને ખબર હશે કે Windows operating system છે, for example, so which falls under the CAC, and the application that you use, the front, તમારો Facebook application, for example, or google.com, which is another application, that all falls under the IT application, for example. So that is how it works in terms of the computer science and the IT. So that is one area. And we all know the typical recruiters are all the major IT companies. And nowadays, of course, a lot of non-IT companies, they have their own IT setup to take care of their IT infrastructure. So that's also a very good potential to get into the IT engagement. Electrical engineering, which is always there, anything to do with the electricity or electronics as well, where there's a combination of electric power transmission, electrical machines. So that is also another area. So if you guys have any further to get into this, please feel free to help me here. Electronics and telecommunication. This is primarily on the transmission of the information across various devices. So આજે આપણે જોઈએ છીએ કે તમે અહીંયા Google પર કંઈ ટાઈપ કરો ત્યાંથી અને તમારા સ્માર્ટફોન હોય અને તમારે ઇમિડિયેટલી એન્ડ્રોઈડ ફોન પર તમને આવી જાય અહીંયા ઇન્ફોર્મેશન કે what I have done. So whether it's a Facebook, whether it's a Google location, for example, I'm traveling from here to here, and you immediately get on the map where you are getting in the smartphone. So you probably would have seen those things also. At the same time, areas like electronic devices, when you are moving from one device to other device, you still have the information available on that device. So that's also on the electronics and telecommunication engineering. Electronics and media technology, this is a upcoming engineering now, primarily deals with animation, gaming, and now I think that is really coming up in a big way. Channels, the TV channels which we see, they are also very much into the electronics and media technology. So nowadays, if you see, the media is changing. It's not just the television. The media is our phone, for example, mobile phone, it's an internet, for example, or any other devices that we see, television, for example, theaters, and so on and so forth. So there are a lot of media which are coming in the market. So how can we really get into that is the electronics and media technology. This is a very niche area, which is an upcoming engineering, so something that you may want to consider moving forward, because there's a good potential in the market in this media and technology, electronics and media technology engineering. Other engineering is the traditional engineering. One of our friends just now mentioned about the mechanical engineering and the production engineering, which are primarily into the machine systems, into the manufacturing plants, and growing into those areas of mechanics and the machine manufacturing, primarily on that. The new engineering which is also coming is the fashion engineering, and we see nowadays a lot of things are changing into that, which is like what Atul Bhai also mentioned, that can I do something different, in the sense, based on my likings, based on my interests, can I do something? So these are some of the areas that you may also want to consider. The fashion technology, especially for the girls also, I would say, is quite interesting to look into. If you are into the designing, printing of your various, not only just the textiles, but anything to do with the design of any, whether it's a fashion, whether it's accessories or anything else, how can I get into this fashion technology also? So this is where the other area is. The third area, the last area, which one of the things which I want to highlight is the food processing and technology. Nowadays we see a lot of ready-made packs which is coming in the food, and how can we utilize that? So there is also technology behind this in terms of how to process the food right from the farm. એટલે ખેતરથી કરીને આપણી fork, એટલે આપણા જે થાળી છે ત્યાં સુધી આવવા માટે. There is a complete food processing technology is there. So this is another very big major area which is coming up, and આપણા પોતાના બી ઘણા બધા બિઝનેસમાં હશે કચ્છીઓમાં પણ કે they are into the packaged foods, for example, and we know like companies like Hindustan Lever, Procter & Gamble, Kraft, and all these are primarily into the food processing also. So that's another very major industry which is coming up in a big way. So to consider about this. So I try to cover some of the critical engineering. There are more than 100 engineering faculty actually. So you can probably visit this particular website, www.indiacollegesearch.com. In that you will find all the various branches as well as the various colleges which are there. So something that will look into. There are other various critical websites that you may want to do a search here, which talks about again like the various colleges, what are the positives, the pros and cons about this engineering, what is the value which we see in the market. So something that we'll look into. So I would recommend you to visit those websites whenever you get an opportunity. Now, before I go further, any additional points you want to take it here? Okay, no problem. Now, another critical thing, I'm now switching my subject a bit here. These are the typical problems, at least in our Samaj. Apna Samajma typical problems છે. કે પપ્પાનો બિઝનેસમાં જોઈન કરી, especially for boys, કે પછી સર્વિસમાં જવાનું. I think બધા કહેશે કે તું ધંધો કરો, પૈસા વધારે છે, XYZ, blah, blah, blah. There is always a dilemma, okay? અને એ રહેવાનું જ છે, forever. So, and there is no right and wrong here. કાંઈ સાચું કાંઈ ખોટું એવું કાંઈ નથી. This is just a point to think about, okay? Second is living in India versus living outside India. છોકરો જશે બહાર ગામ તો પછી પાછો નહીં આવે. Those kind of thinking is also we have, no doubt about it. So there is something to look into. Yeah. So there is another area that we need to see. We need to consider. So there is no, as I said, there is no one answer to that, but these are the typical problems we face. So the best is that તમે તમારા ફેમિલીમાં આ ડિસ્કશન કરો અને try to find out what is best for the child and what is best for the family also. There is something we should open discussion થવું જોઈએ. Whether it's a boy or a girl, I think it is very important that open discussion થવું જોઈએ. From a children perspective, there are proven engineering, proven industries. That is what we discuss here, and there are emerging industries also. Emerging industries, we'll talk about a little bit about that. What is emerging industries? And again, the reason we are here, what do I study to achieve my goals, to achieve what I have to study? So that is the reason primarily here. Again, this will keep changing as you grow. I think today we cannot decide our goal according to me, but as you grow, you will have a better thoughts. And as we all know, because of the world, there will change. We do not know what is going to happen in next 2 years. 5 વર્ષ પહેલા Facebook, we didn't even know what is Facebook, correct? And today we can't live without Facebook, or at least the mobile phones, if I'm not wrong. So at least the new generation I'm talking about. So definitely that is what is changing. WhatsApp, લગભગ 24 કલાકમાંથી 15 કલાક કે 20 કલાક બધા WhatsApp પર જ હશે, if I'm not wrong, કે 21 કલાક, if I'm not wrong again. So હમણાં નમો રિંગટોનની બદલામાં પહેલા WhatsAppના ટિંગ 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 ઘંટડી વાગે છે. We all know that. Okay, so that is something. And also Atulbhai also mentioned who can help. So we should be constantly in touch with the people who can really help. So continue to get the guidance. And then Atulbhai kiddu CA coming again and again and again is very important. You should keep meeting people again and again and again. It's very important to get additional ideas which will help you to get your inner strength out, which is important. Specifically for IT, I wanted to talk about. So there is a lot of IT potential in India as well as outside India. So you may want to consider IT, which is a computer engineering or IT. So feel free to consider. There is something for everyone. The demand is growing. Definitely there is always a demand and supply problem. Sometimes you feel that we have a job in nathi marta, which is also true to some extent, but that keeps changing. Demand and supply requirement of that. But there is also something which is for everybody. So the good command over English, where do we need to improve here? Good command over English, computer skills and the internet knowledge. I think we need to be really good about all these things here. Another good part of IT, so that's specifically for IT I'm talking about. Okay, let's say if you have taken commerce or any other areas, as my colleague mentioned, Mr. Vinod mentioned, or Mr. Farhan Khan mentioned, is that if you want to change yourself to IT in future, or rather you want to do additional work in IT, you can always do it also, which is another good part of IT. So you can, if you are a, let's say, chartered accountant, for example, or a computer or a commerce graduate or a law, for example, law expert, you can also get into the functional areas of into the computer for any business. So that gives you the liberty, especially in IT here. And there are various packages which people have been expertising, which majority of the companies in the industry, they use this kind of packages. Okay, this is a new area which is also coming up, which is what we call as the big data analytics, which is where we talk about the business analyst, which is primarily required here. So that's another area which, even if you do not have the IT background, you can still become the part of this kind of an initiative. So something to think about. And these are all very new areas which are coming up in last 1 and 2 years, and we see a great potential in these areas. So something to look